I'm going to make him an example. I'm going to prove to the entire UFC welterweight division that walking this planet right now, I am the best welterweight on this planet and nobody can stop me.
Do you have a prediction? Do you have a specific way you think it's going to happen?
I got to finish him. It's going to be one of those fights I got to make a statement. He didn't talk so much, so it's going to make it that much sweeter when I shut his mouth and then I put him to sleep. So I just got to put one of those performances on.
Those things.
Good. Chill. Good.
Enjoy your finish. Want to come say hello. How are you, sir? You good? You know there's no malintentions. It's a fight game. Have a great week.
After an easy win for Islam Makhachev at UFC 322, the competition has increased in the welterweight division, and everyone wants to fight for the belt next. With Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, and Shavkat Rakhmonov being the top contenders, UFC Qatar might also decide Islam's next opponent, as Belal Muhammad and Ian Garry will fight for the title contention. Belal Muhammad is ready for this fight and lays out his plan for Ian Garry, saying he expects Garry to run around early before realizing his point fighting won't work. Belal says he'll take him down, let him stand back up just to prove he can control him whenever he wants, and then outbox him because Garry claims he can strike with him. He notes that Garry has faced names like MVP and over-the-hill Neil Magny and Carlos Prates without being finished, which is why Belal wants to stop him on the feet and remind everybody who I am.
You've never been hesitant to give a very thorough and broken down prediction. What are you going to do to Ian Garry in there on Saturday?
Honestly, for me, it's I think Ian's going to try to run around the whole first round. But then by the end of the first round, his little point jabbing is not going to work. Then I'm going to grab a hold of him. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to let him back up just because I want to show him that I could take you down if I want to. And then I'm going to outbox him because he said he could outstrike me. He thinks he's a pretty striker. He's been in there with some great strikers, right? He's been there with MVP. He's been there with Shavkat. He's been there with Prates. And none of the guys finished him. So for me, it's finishing him on the feet and then reminding everybody who I am.
Ian Garry believes a win over Belal Muhammad would cement his spot for a title shot. He notes that Belal has already finished Sean Brady and dominated Leon Edwards, and if Garry can finish him faster than JDM did, it would make him impossible to overlook for a world title fight.
Because as I said, Belal has knocked out number 2 in Sean Brady, and he has smashed number 3 in Leon Edwards. So when you smoke Belal, it's obvious what comes next. Now, if I go out there and do that to Sean Brady, someone can have that argument, oh, but you haven't beat this guy and someone else, and I didn't want any of that. So for me, it actually works out better, Ariel, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Have you been told, though, you beat Belal, you're next?
When you knock out number 1 in the world, there is nothing else. When you knock out a former champion and who's number 1 in the world right now, and you smash him in less rounds than JDM could, then that's all that matters to me. I know I'm getting a world title fight after this.
Belal Muhammad warns Ian Garry that he's never faced anyone like him and will be broken at UFC Qatar. He says Garry has already shown signs of being close to breaking on the ground and vows to dominate the fight and reestablish himself as the division's best. Belal calls it the true number 1 contender fight. He insists Garry picked the wrong opponent and the wrong date, promising a rough night ahead.
You've never been in the cage with anybody like me. You've never seen anybody like me. And on November 22nd, you're going to be broken like you've never been broken before. We've already seen you on the ground, butt in the air, close to being broke. Pilot's just going to finish the job. When I'm in there with you, I'm going to beat you up. It's going to be a bad day, bad night for you. I just want to get this loss off my back. I need to get back on the right side. I'm the best in the division. I know I'm the best in the division. November 22nd, I get to prove it again. I get to go out there, dominate, and then get back to where I belong. And that's for the welterweight title. The title's on the line in November. None of these other guys are booked. All these other guys want to wait, sit out, do nothing. Me and Ian are ready to fight. I think it's the number 1 contender fight. It's the biggest fight in the division other than the title fight, and it makes the most sense. I haven't lost in 6 years. I hate to be reminded of it, but I'm gonna keep looking at it, thinking about it. I'm not gonna have that taste in my mouth again. I'm never gonna experience that again. Ian Garry, you picked the wrong guy. You picked the wrong date. November 22nd, your future's not bright. See you soon, boy.
Ian Garry calls Belal Muhammad an idiot for thinking he could outstrike a boxer during his title defense, saying Belal proved he was wrong that night. Garry adds that he hopes Belal makes the same mistake against him because if Belal tries to strike with him, it will only make the fight easier.
Belal Muhammad, when he was defending his world title in Montreal, Canada, thought that he could outbox a boxer. He was an idiot, and he was wrong.
I got black, I got white, what you want?
I hope he thinks he can try that to me. It'll make my life easier.
Belal Muhammad isn't bothered by Ian Garry's trash talk and claims Ian Garry's trash talk isn't genuine, saying it's written for him by his wife and team. He argues Garry just reads lines others prepare, pointing to the rehearsed nature of his comments.
In contrast, Ian Garry has his next 5 fights planned out. Curious if you think he's overlooking you when he starts talking like that, or if it's just his way of hyping himself up.
No, I think he's good at like reading a script, right? His writers, his wife, they're all writing stuff down for him to say. So he's good at reading it, but you're not good at putting it to action. Like anybody could have their thoughts, their plans, their future written down, but we're still in the present. And Saturday night, I'm gonna have to change the story.
Meanwhile, Ian Garry admits Islam versus Ilya might be the biggest fight in the entire sport, but believes the UFC won't make it right now because it would stall 2 divisions. He explains that Ilya has contenders like Arman, Paddy, and Gaethje waiting, while Islam just won and needs to fight at welterweight. Garry still calls it the UFC's biggest possible matchup, far bigger than anything involving Jones, Aspinall, or Pereira.
Ilya could knock heavyweights out. We've seen that. He can knock anyone out when he touches them. I think Ilya versus Islam is the biggest fight the UFC can make, hands down, in my opinion. You've got two two-weight world champions. One will try go for greatness and be the first triple champ of all time. So it's an absolutely gigantic fight. Like, you cannot beat around the bush. You have to just state the obvious and understand it. However, I don't know if the UFC want to do that, because then you slow down 2 divisions. But is it worth it? If they're going to get the money in return and the business is there and the people want to see it, the UFC will do it. So it's an interesting topic. I don't believe they're going to do it right now. I think when you've got the likes of Sarukian and Paddy and Gaethje, they need to have that belt competed at lightweight, and Ilya needs to defend that belt. Islam just won the belt and has to fight a welterweight. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. But it absolutely is the biggest fight in the sport you could make right now. Way bigger than anything to do with John Jones and Aspinall and Pereira, in my opinion.
Arman Sarukian also shares his thoughts on Ilya versus Islam matchup and admits Ilya Topuria would be a much tougher challenge for Islam Makhachev than JDM. He notes that Ilya has far more knockout power, pointing out that while Madalena hasn't caused many knockdowns, Ilya has managed to rock almost every opponent he's faced.
Вот многие после такого выступления считают, что бой с Ильей – это полный мисс-матч. Ты как считаешь?
Не факт. Я думаю, что с Ильей будет намного тяжелее, чем с Мадаленой было.
Из-за низкого центра тяжести и борьбы?
Из-за антропометрии, и я думаю, что у Ильи намного тяжелее удар, чем с кем он дрался?
Джек Делла Мадалена.
Да, я думаю, что у Ильи тяжелее удар, чем Мадалена. Мадалена меньше ронял, чем Илья. Илья почти всех роняет.
Furthermore, Ian Garry wants a Dagestan versus Ireland 3 showdown and promises to take Islam Makhachev's belt to make it happen. He says he's fully confident he can win, acknowledging the challenge, but believing in his abilities. Taking Islam's title, ending his streak, and bringing that victory home for Ireland would be a proud moment for him.
If you have Islam versus Garry, that would be the next one. And do you think you'll be able to pull the victory towards yourself?
100%. 100% I can win that fight. It won't be easy. He's phenomenal, and he's one of the best in the world for a reason. He knows exactly what he's doing every time. He's dangerous. But I know how good I am, and I know what I can do to a man like him, and to have his name on my resume, and to take the title from him, and to destroy that consecutive win streak is absolutely something that I want to do. But also, I'm aware our countries have history in the fight game. I'm aware we've had Conor, I'm aware we've had Paul, I'm aware we've had Islam and Khabib, or Usman and Khabib. Me and Islam have no beef, but our countries have fighting history. So for me, it will be a very proud moment to bring that win back for my country and take that belt from Islam.
Ian Garry believes he sees clear weaknesses in Islam Makhachev's style, despite praising his composure and improved striking against JDM. He admits Islam is elite once he gets hold of a leg and calls him one of the most dangerous submission artists in the world, but insists there are still obvious gaps in his striking that he believes he could exploit.
Islam's phenomenal. So he sticks to a southpaw stance.
he looked far cleaner on the feet against Jack this fight, and I was very impressed by that. His calmness and his composure on the feet was elite compared to what I've seen. However, there are still holds that you can see. If you watch that fight and you focus on the striking, there's obvious gaps that I will absolutely take advantage of. But when he grabs a hold of your leg, he's the best in the world. He's technically beautiful with his wrestling. He's smart. He's intelligent. He doesn't do silly things or make mistakes. He does the right thing every time. And he's a dangerous submission threat.
Ian Garry claims none of Islam's strengths bother him, insisting his own speed and fight IQ set him apart. He describes himself as so intelligent, so smart on the feet, highlights that he's undefeated against southpaws and claims Islam has never faced anyone as fast as him, declaring, "I'm the fastest in the world."
However, I don't care for any of that. I'm so intelligent, I'm so smart on the feet, I'm so elusive. I'm long, I'm tall, I'm rangy, I'm undefeated against southpaws. So when we face off, he's got to get to my leg. And he's got to be able to catch me when I'm longer and taller than anyone he's ever faced before. But also, I'm just wickedly fast. That he's never seen anyone as fast as me. He can pull in bantamweights, and they're never going to be as fast as me. I'm the fastest in the world, and that's my specialty. Is I'm just, until they stand in front of me, they think they can do something, and then their head just starts snapping back and they don't know what to do.
On the other hand, Kamaru Usman is currently most likely to get the title opportunity, as Islam also wants to fight him.
And today the two fight did like very well, Moraes and Prates.
Yeah.
But I still thinking Kamaru can beat them both. And Kamaru's the biggest, and they are young fighter who like hungry, but Kamaru's still dangerous and one of the best in this game, you know.
Really?
And if you give me the choice and ask me who you want to fight, I will take Kamaru, but it's not my job. Anyone, I will be ready.
However, Ian Garry dismisses the idea of Islam Makhachev fighting Kamaru Usman, arguing that the champion should face rising contenders instead of veterans. He says Islam should not be fighting a has-been who used to be great but isn't great anymore, adding that the champ needs to defend against up-and-coming killers rather than someone with no knees.
Do I think the champion of the world, the pound for pound, one of the pound for pound best in the world, should fight a has-been? Someone who used to be great but isn't great anymore? No. Where is he now in the rankings? Someone mentioned the rankings earlier on, 8 or 9. The last fight he had was against a guy who had like 7 losses in the UFC. No. Islam Makhachev is a phenomenal fighter, and he needs to fight one of the young up-and-coming contenders, not a has-been who has no knees. So that's it. End of.
Ian Garry argues that if he were in Islam Makhachev's position, he'd also be tempted to fight Kamaru Usman because it would be an easy paycheck and an easy first title defense at welterweight. But he stresses that the real contenders are all powerful and young, making them far more dangerous than a former champion. He says choosing Usman would be a cop-out, insisting that Islam should face one of the hungry up-and-coming challengers who are still driven to achieve their dreams.
If I was Islam, I would want to fight Kamaru Usman too, because it's an easy paycheck, it's an easy win, it's an easy way for me to get my first title defense at welterweight. But when you've got the likes of me, firstly, if you look at the 4 main contenders right now, Shavkat, me, Prates, Morales, what do we all have in common? Long, tall, rangy, powerful, and full of youth. Way more dangerous than a guy who used to be the greatest. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Can you translate to him to make sure? But like, and make sure you give it you justify it. Like, not a million years. That to me is a cop out. You need to fight one of the up and comers, one of the guys that are hungry, that have that passion, that have not felt what it feels like to be a champion, that are driven to achieve their dreams.
However, Kamaru Usman criticizes those who say he shouldn't get a title shot next. He explains that when given the chance, he always maximizes it, just like he did in previous fights. Usman points out that fighters like Alexa Grasso and Jack Della Maddalena weren't supposed to fight for the title either, but they took the opportunity and delivered. He insists he's ready and confident that now is the right time for him to fight for the belt.
If given the opportunity, I'm going to try to maximize it and go out there and do what I feel that I'm capable of doing. It was the same situation when I was fighting Tyron Woodley. It's like, no, you shouldn't be next. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. It is what it is. I went out there and fought, and I did my job. You know, and these same naysayers are saying, oh, Alexa Grasso is like, you know, down the list that she shouldn't be fighting for the title because she wasn't the next #1 contender. Guess what? She went out there and won the title. You know, so it is what it is. And look at that, Jack Della wasn't supposed to fight for the title, but when given that opportunity, he went out there and he maximized it and did what he had to do. So I don't care what these people have to say. For me, as far as what I feel about the chances, I think the chances are great. I mean, just like you and I just discussed, the time would be now to fight for the title.
Ariel Helwani also admits that the Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry fight just got bigger, noting Garry must win impressively to leapfrog Pratis and Morales. He mentions that Shavkat is also ready to compete early next year. Helwani also dismisses the idea of Kamaru Usman, calling it an injustice since Usman hasn't beaten a top contender recently.
Belal Muhammad, Ian Garry this weekend in Qatar just got a whole lot bigger, because if Prates and Morales would have won via ho-hum decision, it would have been like a little like tap it in for Ian Garry. Now he's got to do something spectacular to let everyone know that he deserves the next crack. And oh, by the way, there's Shavkat out there who I hear is ready to go. January, February, March, he is ready to go. Do they go to him? Or is there a Kamaru Usman fight out there and it seems like the entire Islam squad is pushing for that fight? Are they pushing for it like John Jones was pushing for the Stipe fight because they want the legacy win? Are they pushing for it because they're buddies? Are they pushing for it because they're all under the same management? I don't know. But it does seem like that's what they're pushing for. And count me among those who say I have zero interest in that fight, and it would be an absolute travesty if the likes of Michael Morales and Carlos Prates and Ian Garry are doing their thing, and Kamaru Usman, who has one win in the past 4 fights.
Carlos Prates is also a top contender, but TJ Dillashaw believes Prates isn't ready to face Islam Makhachev yet. He points out gaps in Prates' grappling and says at 170, Islam would dominate him easily. Dillashaw advises Prates to take smarter fights first, warning that rushing into a title shot against Islam could ruin his chances.
Maybe a little bit more grappling awareness from Prates would help him out a lot, because you see holes, this is 170, so the champion now, Islam would just wreck him, you know. It would just be an easy fight. So I don't think Prates should even be pushing for a title fight right now. Let, continue to build some star power, because he's a star, he's entertaining. Take some smart fights, because I mean, Islam, you lose your chance at a title by fighting Islam, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, Michael Venom Page breaks down the Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry matchup, noting that the striking edge clearly favors Garry while the wrestling leans heavily toward Belal. He feels that if Belal avoids standing and trading for too long and instead applies the same pressure-heavy approach he used against Leon Edwards, then that style would allow him to overwhelm Garry and potentially walk through him.
Yes, Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry, one that I didn't even think about. I didn't even think to put together. I've never actually put those two names together at all. And then when I saw it, I was like, yeah, of course, that's an obvious potential fight. Stylistically, striking-wise, obviously it leans to Garry. Wrestling-wise, massively leans towards Belal. I do feel like as long as Belal doesn't try to stand there and strike with him, and he mixes up the same way he basically did with Leon Edwards. He came out very heavily on the front foot, pressuring, forcing Leon on his back foot, which allowed for takedowns more easily, which allowed him to land strikes as well. If he does that kind of game, I think he'll walk through Ian Garry. It might be a bit tricky initially.
MVP adds that Garry might be tricky early and is harder to take down than people assume, noting that Garry usually finds ways to get back up, but doing so will drain his gas tank and limit his knockout power. He says Garry would likely need to win on points, while he slightly leans toward Belal overall.
But Garry is, from what I've seen, difficult to take down. He's actually not as straightforward as people may assume. He seems difficult. He gets back up, but that will also take it out of his own body. So for his strike, so it will kill his ability to be able to knock out and get a knockout win. He'd have to only win on points. But I'd slightly lean towards Belal.
Sean Brady shares his thoughts on the Belal Muhammad versus Ian Garry matchup, highlighting the striking versus grappling dynamic. He explains that while the styles are very different, Belal's ability to apply pressure and stay close to his opponent could make the difference. Brady believes that if Belal executes his strategy smartly, he can take away Ian Garry's space and control the fight, giving him the edge to get the win.
What do you think about this matchup between Ian and Belal?
I think it's a very different, striker, grappler, obviously. But I do think that Belal can bring that pressure if he's smart. And I think he's just going to stay so close to Ian, take that space away. And I do favor Belal to get it done.
Beneil Dariush believes predicting Belal versus Ian Garry is tough. He likes Belal and hopes he wins, but admits Garry could take it. He highlights Belal's cardio and ability to push through as key strengths.
That's a tough one. I really like Belal, man. I know the people aren't big fans of Belal, but I really like Belal, so I hope he wins. But I could definitely see Garry winning that fight. But I think Belal, with his awesome cardio and just his ability to grind through.
Famous streamer Aiden Ross predicts a win for Belal Muhammad in his fight against Ian Garry, calling it a great matchup, but choosing Belal as his pick.
Belal Muhammad and Ian Garry, great fight. Who do you guys think wins between Belal and Ian Garry? I'm going to take Belal Muhammad. Honestly, I'm going to take Belal. I'm going to take Belal Muhammad. I'm going to take Belal Muhammad.
Former UFC champion Jamahal Hill also shared his thoughts on this matchup and says both fighters are like brothers to him. He respects Belal Muhammad but gives the edge to Ian Garry, noting that a champion always carries that status, and Garry has faced more diverse opponents.
Both my boys, obviously Belal, both my brothers, man. Belal is my brother, man. And I love Ian. He is my dog, bro. Me and him been close for years. Edge, you got to go with the edge, though. The edge has to go to the champion, just for the former champion. I mean, once a champion, always a champion. You know what I mean? So if I'm not gonna throw the former in there when I'm addressing the champion. I'm addressing the champion. You know what I'm saying? So he's seen more different diversity of opponents.
Jamahal Hill analyzes the matchup, noting that both fighters have strengths. Ian Garry's patience and timing stand out as he waits for the right moment to strike, forcing opponents to reveal their strategy. Hill adds that Belal Muhammad could win if he stays tight, avoids overreaching, and boxes smartly in close range.
Man, I don't know, they both have their strengths, you know what I mean? Ian's timing and his patience is what I could see, as long as Belal is equally as patient. I mean, I think he could kind of nullify, but Ian is patient, bro. He'll just wait. He'll get in position that he wants to be in, and to wait until you show him what he wants to see, and then he'll crack you. You know what I mean? As long as that's the thing. But yeah, Belal just can't lunge and the overreaching. I mean, the reaching whenever he's like, as long as he don't do that, if he stays close and he stays in tight, and he makes him fight in a small pocket and box. And then makes him do what he does. You know what I mean? Belal wins that fight, I think, maybe.
Malcolm Wellmaker also shared his thoughts and believes both fighters know how to get the job done, but he leans toward Belal Muhammad. He expects Ian Garry to approach the fight the right way, yet isn't sure he can beat Belal, ultimately picking Belal as his choice.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Ian Garry been finding a way to get it done. So I expect him to go out there and approach it the right way. But I just don't know if he'll beat Belal Muhammad. You know what I mean? If I had to pick one, I think I'm gonna go Belal Muhammad.
That's all we have from today's video, and we hope you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing MMA videos.